In these next few videos, I will disclose my various experiences after my divorce that led to my new reality. Have you ever wondered how divorce can create an unexpected ripple effect in your social life? Divorce, though taxing, seemed to me like a fresh start, a chance to rekindle old dreams, and an opportunity to rediscover myself. I imagined my weekends filled with brunches, coffee dates, and movie nights. I envisaged my phone buzzing with messages, my calendar adorned with social events, and my life brimming with new excitement. I was ready to embrace my newfound freedom with open arms. Difficult as it was, I wasn't going to crawl up and disappear. But as the days turn into weeks, I find myself in the throes of a startling realization. The bustling social life I had envisioned is replaced with a deafening silence. My social circle, once somewhat vibrant and diverse, begins to shrink at an alarming rate. The friends we'd made as a couple, those we'd invited to our home, shared meals with, celebrated birthdays and anniversaries with, start to distance themselves from me, like I had done something wrong. The invitations to dinner parties dwindled, the casual meetups become rare, and the phone that used to buzz with friendly chatter now remains eerily quiet. I'm left wondering, why? Why did the friends who stood by us in times of joy choose to step back in times of change from me? Why did the people who witnessed our story unfold decide to turn their backs when the story took an unexpected turn? This was especially the women. The men still had their friendship with my ex. How puzzling. And then it dawns on me, the stinging reality of the stigma attached to divorce. I realized that our friends, still cocooned in the comfort of their married lives, find it hard to relate to my new journey. I was no longer one half of a couple they knew. I was now a single woman charting her own path, and this sudden shift unsettled them, or even scared them into thinking that their marriage too could, as suddenly as mine, take an unexpected hit. This unexpected solitude becomes my new reality. It's a reality I didn't anticipate, a reality I didn't sign up for, but it's a reality I must now navigate. It's a journey that's isolating, yes, but also one that's ripe with possibilities for self-discovery. I still had my loyal single friends after all. Can your marital status really influence your friendships? This question began to haunt me daily as I started to notice a shift in how even my married friends from childhood treated me after my divorce. Imagine the shock of feeling like an alien amongst your own tribe. People I've shared laughter, tears, and countless memories with suddenly start to behave as if I'm a stranger, like the divorce was due to something I did, like it was my fault. Where is the empathy, the wine, the ice cream, listening ear and shoulder to cry on? This was the reality I sadly faced. My friends were treating me differently, and it was a bitter pill to swallow. I noticed that some friends were visibly uncomfortable in my presence. Some even held their husbands a little closer during conversations. Listen, I didn't want him when he had all his hair. Why would I want him now? Their conversations lacked the usual warmth and camaraderie. It was as if they were walking on eggshells, constantly worried they might say something that would upset me, or their husbands would suddenly start looking at me differently. The casual banter and shared jokes, which once were the life of our gatherings, were replaced by awkward silences and forced smiles. Then there were those who took sides. Friends who had known both I and my ex-husband over the years suddenly felt obligated to choose. Few sided with me, most with my ex, because their husbands sided with the man and the very foundation of their friendship seemed to crumble. The unity and solidarity they had once shared were replaced by an invisible divide. What hurt the most were the ones who blamed me for the divorce. I should have handled things better. I shouldn't have filed for a divorce. I should have forgiven him. I heard it all. Friends who had been there through the ups and downs of my marriage, who knew the struggles I had faced, were suddenly pointing fingers. They accused me of not trying hard enough, of giving up too soon. It was as if my worth was tied up solely with my marital status, and now that I was divorced, I was somehow less deserving of their friendship. This uncomfortable realization was a harsh wake-up call for me. The friends I had considered as extended family were slowly drifting away. I was left wondering, was I only valuable as a part of a couple? The feeling of loneliness crept in, not because I was alone, but because I felt misunderstood and judged by those I had once held dear. I am left wondering, was I only valuable as a part of a couple? What role does society play in shaping our views about divorce? Let's delve into that. Society, as we know it, plays a significant part in shaping our perceptions, and divorce is no exception. In many societies, divorce carries a stigma, a negative connotation that casts a long, daunting shadow, mainly on the woman. It's often seen as a failure, a blot on the otherwise pristine fabric of marital bliss. This stigma isn't just limited to the couple involved. It seeps into their social circles, influencing relationships and interactions. I found myself in the midst of this societal storm. I noticed a shift in everyone's behavior, in varying degrees, a slight hesitation in their voices, and a certain discomfort that was hard to ignore. It was as if the word divorce had painted me in a different light. The jovial gatherings and shared laughter of the past seemed to fade into a distant memory, replaced by awkward silences and forced conversations. This societal stigma attached to divorce isn't merely about the end of a marriage, it's about the perceived failure of the woman to maintain that sacred bond. It's about the societal pressure to uphold the till death do us part vow, regardless of the circumstances and trauma experienced in the marriage. But let's remember, divorce isn't a failure. Sometimes it's a brave step towards personal happiness and mental peace, a step that demands immense courage. The friends, influenced by this societal stigma, were in most part the friends we had in common. They were torn between loyalty and societal norms. The men stuck together and most of their wives went along with their men. It's a common scenario, unfortunately. Friends often feel the need to pick sides, to align themselves with societal expectations. They fear the judgment that might come their way if they support a friend who is divorced, and so they retreat into the shadows. I realized that my divorce had not just ended my marriage, but also altered my social standing. The social landscape I once knew had changed, leaving me to navigate through the unfamiliar terrain. But remember, this is not where my story ends, but rather where a new chapter of self-discovery begins. Can solitude lead to self-discovery? Now that's a question worth pondering. As I navigate the labyrinth of my solitude, I stumbled upon an unexpected treasure: myself. I begins to experience a profound metamorphosis, a shift from the woman I was to the woman I am becoming. In the quietness of my solitude, I hear the whispers of my own heart. I begin to take note of the things that make my heart flutter with excitement and my soul dance with joy. It could be the sheer tranquility of a sunrise, the thrill of a new book, or the satisfaction of a well-cooked meal. I start exploring my interests, the ones I'd always kept on the back burner, drowned out by the cacophony of marital duties and societal expectations. I get a job, as I find solace in doing something meaningful outside of the home life. The kitchen, previously a realm of duty, transforms into a canvas for even more creativity. I discover the joy of experimenting with recipes, creating culinary symphonies that soothe my soul. I even dive into the world of literature, finding companionship in the characters and their stories. Can a new beginning be possible after a painful ending? Sometimes we find ourselves asking this question after a painful event, such as a divorce. We tend to believe that the end of a marriage is the end of happiness, of social life, of being accepted. But that's not the whole truth. It's not even a fraction of it. I, once trapped in the stigma of divorce, decided I wouldn't let my past define my future. I decided to rebuild my life, brick by brick, with the mortar of determination and resilience. I understood that it was not about finding friends who could accept my marital status, but about finding those who could accept me for who I was, warts and all. I began to take small steps towards rebuilding my social life. I started attending social gatherings, not as a divorcee, but as an individual. I opened herself to new experiences, new people, and new perspectives. And as I did, I found people who were more interested in my spirit, my strength, my wit, than the ring missing from my finger. I found most friends who laughed with me, cried with me, celebrated with me, and stood by me, from childhood remained loyal. They weren't concerned about my past, but about my present and my future. These friends accepted me for who I was, not for my marital status. They saw my strength, my courage, my resilience, and admired me for it. This was my new beginning, a life free from the societal stigma of divorce. I had not only survived the stigma of divorce, I was thriving. I had found happiness, acceptance, and a sense of belonging. I had old loyal friends who saw and knew me for who I truly was, and not for the societal label I had been given. I had not only survived the stigma of divorce, but had also thrived, proving that life doesn't end with divorce, it simply takes a new turn.